Welcome back to Action Figure Obsession here on the Avian and Loaded channel. This is episode number 114, featuring our old pal Wolverine, created in 1974. That is when he debuted in Marvel Comics. One page on the very last page of Incredible Hulk number 180, and then full-on battle between the Hulk and Wolverine. Who at that time we knew virtually nothing about, other than his costume there on the right. That is a pretty close approximation of the costume that he originally wore in his first appearance in 3 issues of Incredible Hulk, 180, 181, and then 182. 180 and 182, he makes brief appearances to enter and exit, but 181 was the big smackdown for the first time ever between the Jade Giant and the old Knucklehead. His original costume was designed, I believe, by John Romita Sr., and this is not incredibly far from the traditional Wolverine costume, probably the costume that he's appeared in more than any other in comics, the Tiger Stripe costume, or as some mistakenly think of it, the Jim Lee costume. It went in the hands of John Romita Sr., art director, to Herb Trimpe, who penciled those issues of Incredible Hulk that Wolverine appeared in. Trimpe stuck to John Romita Sr.'s design. Once Wolverine popped up again in the pages of Giant-Sized X-Men #1, and then into Uncanny X-Men, where he made his bones, if you will, the costume evolved a little, and this, I think this is the Apocalypse Wave Wolverine. I believe here in the middle here, that style of costume, Jim Lee had nothing to do with whatsoever. It really was the evolution that it took, first under the hands of penciler Dave Cockrum, and then it was sort of codified into law by John Byrne as penciler and Terry Austin as inker, and that is really where the Tiger Stripe uniform was, as I say, codified into law, popularized, institutionalized. That became the gold standard under Byrne and Austin for what the Tiger Stripe uniform could look like. Called the Tiger Stripe uniform, of course, because it features tiger stripes on his lower torso and on his shoulders. And for a long, long time, a couple of years even, that costume in Uncanny X-Men, other than when he borrowed Fang's costume during a war with the Shi'ar, what are they, Imperial Guard, he got into a fight with a kind of outer space version of himself that was based on a DC Comics character. Yeah, when I get into the DC stuff, I start to lose the names. But the werewolf character from the Legion of Superheroes, they were basically satirizing that in the pages of Uncanny X-Men. And Fang was the sort of the avatar for the DC Legion of Superheroes character. And he had a more muted costume that was like brown and black. And Wolverine beat him in a battle and stole it and wore it back into the mansion when they returned to Earth. And that was really Wolverine's first flirtation with a brown costume. And I think that storyline actually started, the beginning of it was penciled by Dave Cockrum, but then he left the book and John Byrne took over, I think around issue 108. And so Byrne actually, the first time he drew Wolverine was in that Fang costume. And I do have the Fang action figure. If I had been thinking, I would have brought that over here to the work table, but I didn't, and I apologize. Because believe it or not, this whole video is just me talking about the brown costume. Often referred to as the classic look for Wolverine by people who don't know Wolverine or people who have a very limited understanding of his history. But the brown costume, as sort of seen here on this Wolverine Weapon of Vengeance figure, other than the fists and the head, that is a reissue of the quote-unquote traditional brown costume for Wolverine, the brown suit Wolverine. which was first released by Marvel Legends, I think in the Juggernaut Build-A-Figure wave back around 2015, if I recall correctly, and then reissued in the Marvel Superheroes Vintage Collection Wave 1 um, in 2017, I want to say, the sort of white and blue retro card. And this, again, this Helverine Weapon of Vengeance is basically it's Wolverine, I think, sort of possessed by the Ghost Rider spirit. I'm not 100% certain on that whole story because I don't really care. I just bought it because I thought it looked cool. I mean, look at it. He's on fire. That translucent. They did a wonderful job. Two things Hasbro does really well when they want to are translucent parts and metallic parts, and this is kind of the perfect example of that. I mean, just look at this, is insane. The flames are coming out of his eyes. He's got that rictus grin, and the beautiful adamantium skeleton showing through there, skull showing through there. I found this Helverine figure in a vintage bookshop that also sells Marvel Legends action figures, and I had seen some promotional shots of it when it was first announced, and I thought, well, that looks silly. That looks stupid. Then I saw it in my hand in that vintage bookstore, and I thought, well, that looks freaking awesome. It's Wolverine, and he's on fire, and, you know, the thing that really sells it is what a good job Hasbro did on the translucent parts and the painted metal skull. And look at the claws made out of flame. They had done the hot claws Wolverine a couple of years earlier, and that was just stupid. It was just his regular claws that were painted, you know, like a red with a gradient to make it look like they were super hot. Who cares? Stupid hot claws Wolverine. I hate that figure. Oh, I hate it so much. And I have it because that's an action figure obsession. I hate it, and I have it. So anyway, actually, as I was saying before I derailed myself, the suit in the middle here, the Tiger Stripe Wolverine, often mislabeled the Jim Lee Wolverine design, basically a modification of John Romita Sr.'s original design, which was drawn in the debut by Herb Trimpe. Trimpe, not really known for costume design. He was drawing Incredible Hulk back then. But, you know, John Romita Sr., I believe, was the art director at the time, and Len Wein thought up Wolverine, and Romita, you know, took whatever Wein gave him as the idea, and that was the costume he came up with. This is the later modification, and really, when I think Wolverine, and it's a testament to the, and really Hugh Jackman has nothing to do with this, other than that I was looking for different Wolverines who happened to be on my work table. So Hugh, say hi to everybody. All right, and I'm just going to move him off to the side here because this really has nothing to do with Hugh Jackman. And I personally think he looked ridiculous in the yellow costume in Wolverine and Deadpool, or Deadpool and Wolverine, I should say. But yeah, so they relaunch Uncanny X-Men, which had been a reprint title for a while because it was kind of failing. They relaunched it with Giant Size X-Men #1, and then X-Men, I believe Uncanny X-Men #94, I think, was where they picked back up with the story from Giant Size X-Men #1. And very shortly thereafter, between Dave Cockrum and John Byrne, Wolverine looked like this outfit you see here in the center. And then there was an issue of Uncanny X-Men later on, I want to say in the 120s somewhere. So, you know, this was his look basically from X-Men '94 until the early 120s, I think. And somewhere in the 120s, Alpha Flight showed up, which was a John Byrne. I'm not sure if Chris Claremont had much say in the creation of Alpha Flight or if John Byrne just created Alpha Flight all on his own. I don't want to. John Byrne takes some credit for things he doesn't deserve, but I think that he was largely the creator of Alpha Flight. I could be wrong about that, but you guys tell me. But anyway, when Alpha Flight showed up, that was right around the same time that John Byrne decided Wolverine needed a less colorful, less flamboyant costume. And what I was started to say was it really is a testament to the character of Wolverine, the appeal of Wolverine as a character, that people buy that this guy running around in yellow and blue spandex is a deadly assassin that makes ninjas and supervillains quake in fear at the very sight of him. I mean, this costume is objectively, patently ridiculous, is it not? So it's understandable that John Byrne and possibly Chris Claremont and possibly, editor-in-chief Jim Shooter or whoever was calling the shots at Marvel at the time may have said, maybe we should try a different costume for Wolverine. And maybe they thought back to that issue 108, with John Byrne drawing the Fang costume on Logan, Wolverine, and thought, well, he looked pretty good in brown. Maybe that's a thing. Maybe that was the backdoor pilot, that when him putting that Fang costume on, maybe that was sort of a test run to see. But, I think he wore it for one issue and then tore it off in the next issue as soon as they arrived back at Professor Xavier's school in Westchester. So John Byrne introduced the new brown costume. I'm not sure if he suggested the color scheme, but I'm sure it was intentional to kind of downplay the yellow and blue spandex thing. Personally, this is my favorite look for Wolverine, the yellow and blue spandex with the big shoulder epaulets or pads, whatever you want to call them. This is my Wolverine. It's my Wolverine so much that I even have a 12-inch one of them over here. Say hi to everybody. Hi, bub. Yep. And then we come back here. And believe it or not, we're not talking about the yellow costume. We're talking about the brown costume. So the brown costume debuts, I think, that same issue where Alpha Flight makes its first appearance, or at least where Jamie Hudson, Guardian, Vindicator, I think he was called at the time, shows up. And I'm not even sure it was really talked about that much, other than, maybe a casual, hey, Wolverine changed his costume. Okay. And then business as usual. But I never had a Marvel Legends brown suit Wolverine until that 2017 reissue of the 2015 one. I think I missed out on the 2015 one because I was just starting to get back into Marvel Legends, and I didn't know if I was going to go down the X-Men rabbit hole. Spoiler warning, sooner or later I go down all the rabbit holes. But yeah, I got that 2017 one because I lucked out and I found all of those 2017 vintage collection figures. I always like to give you the rundown of what was in that wave, which was Pizza Spider-Man, Captain America, Iron Man. The Iron Man figure was terrible. The Punisher, Wolverine, and Black Widow. So these are some of the biggest guns in the Marvel lineup, some of the greatest characters. Not all of them are the greatest figures. The retro Black Widow in 2017 was not a great figure, although it looked good in the package. But that Iron Man was a it was a reissue of a really early Hasbro Iron Man body, and it was super short. It was about as short as, Wolverine is compared to Darwin here, All right. But yeah, other than that Iron Man figure, I loved that 2017 retro vintage collection, that 6-figure wave. It was a wonderful thing. And wave 2 was even better. But we'll probably talk about that some other time, especially if I ever get lucky enough to get some of those figures back, because I think I sold them all. Because wave 2 of that vintage collection, I think that was 2018 or 2019. Man, those things go for money now. Especially the Vision and Black Panther and Ben Reilly Scarlet Spider with the Ben Reilly head. Oh my God, don't get me started. So many regrets. Drink. So anyway, at some point I got rid of that 2017 brown suit Wolverine vintage collection action figure because, the yellow suit is my thing, and I thought I had really lost interest in the brown suit. And again, it's not my favorite. I mean, I guess it's my second favorite by default because it's the one that he wears, I think, second most often. But I got this Wolverine and brought it home, and within 2 days, I lost his head. He took a shelf dive off my X-Men display, and I heard the noise, and I went and looked, and I found everything except the head. And it really upset me. So I came up with a solution. The solution was to go and buy another one, and I did, which is why you're about to see what you're about to see. But so for quite some time, well, eventually my son and I were going through some boxes in my room, and he found the head. He was going through the bottom of the box. I think it was a box of DVDs or something. And he goes, "What's this?" he spotted, I guess, the shiny fire, translucent fire coming out of his head. And he goes, "What's this?" And he pulls out that head. And I had already bought a replacement one because I decided I can't live without Wolverine, the weapon of vengeance. And it was such a relief. I mean, it was even more of a relief than when I lost Bruce Banner's glasses and found them, months later, in the least likely place that they possibly could have been found. But so anyway, I ended up with two of these Wolverine Weapon of Vengeance. And up until this morning, they were both in my display looking exactly like this. Because look how cool they look with the translucent fire head and the adamantium skull and the fire claws that they actually did right by actually sculpting them to be claws made out of fire instead of cheaping out on it like they did with that stupid Hot Claws Wolverine. And I'm laying in bed this morning. I don't know why. Laying in bed this morning, half asleep, thinking I should get out of bed and get some caffeine. And I started thinking about that Wolverine Weapon of Vengeance. I mean, it's beautiful, isn't it? Isn't it a beautiful looking figure? I said to myself, I got two of these in my display on my X-Men shelves because I have a whole shelf full of X-Men. Not shelf, but like a little, it used to be a DVD rack, DVD bookcase kind of thing. And it's mostly X-Men characters. And, one shelf has one Wolverine and the other shelf has the other Wolverine. And I went and I looked and I couldn't find the second one. And he was behind somebody. But they were exactly like this. They both were in exactly the same pose, exactly the same. All of a sudden it occurred to me, I don't have a brown suit Wolverine in my collection, just a regular brown suit Wolverine. I got a bunch of yellow suit Wolverines. I even have a Mezco yellow suit Wolverine with cloth clothing. And I was like, you dummy. You have 8 million unmasked Logan heads in your fodder bin. And I knew that I had the Wolverine parts still in my fodder bins as well. And one of the things that he came with was just regular fisted Wolverine hands with the ports on the back for the claws. And it suddenly hit me, you idiot, you idiot. And so now I have a brown suit Wolverine. Went and grabbed a good Logan head from my many, many unmasked Logan heads. And now I've got basically what looks like Wolverine hanging around the X-Mansion, circa Uncanny X-Men in the Chris Claremont, John Byrne, Terry Austin, Tom Warzachowski, and Glennis Wein days. And that really is what this is all about, is that, I do regret getting rid of that 2017 retro vintage Wolverine. This is the exact same body as that Wolverine, and it probably looks better than that one did because, painting and stuff was different back then for Hasbro. I think that this is sharper and cleaner than I remember that 2017 one being. So this will be my brown suit Wolverine in my collection until they either give us a new classic, quote unquote, brown suit Wolverine, if I can pick that up, or if I ever reacquire. If I could ever get that 2017 vintage one again, I would, because I really liked it. I liked the colors on it, but I like the colors on this. And I think this unmasked Wolverine, unmasked brown suit Wolverine, I mean, he goes for just he's a good stand-in, right? For the one that I stupidly traded away or sold off. I mean, this is a brown suit Wolverine, right? So that's what he's going to be in my X-Men display from here on out. I've made that executive decision. I do have difficulty with my executive function, but that is a decision I have made and a decision I can live with. There he is right in the center. I guess I should put Hugh in the back since he's so much taller than the other Wolverines. I don't want them getting a complex or anything. But yeah, this was just basically the origin story of how I now have an unmasked brown suit Wolverine in my Marvel Legends collection, and a little bit of the buzzing that is constantly at the base of my skull about what's wrong with my collection will now subside for a few hours. And that is what Action Figure Obsession is all about. Thanks for stopping by this Action Figure Obsession video, episode number 114, which I like to tell you so that I remember when I do the next one that I'm probably on 115. This might be 115 now that I think about it. I go back and listen to the beginning of it because I know I said it right the first time. If you like my content, please like, comment, subscribe. Hit the notification bell when you subscribe so that you're updated whenever I do anything new. If you have any friends or acquaintances or frenemies that like action figures or Marvel or any of the stuff that I talk about here on Action Figure Obsession, please share the video with them. Send them a link. You know how to do that. It's not hard. Send them a link. Just do it. And I would appreciate that very much. And I appreciate everybody stopping by and checking this video out. And I will see you on the next Action Figure Obsession.